Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Boom! Shakalaka, 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 shakalaka. Welcome to the stream, guys. Free Energy Friday. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. Thank you very much for being here early, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate all of you who are out there watching the streams, learning about free energy, learning about science that will move us to Star Trek world. And we are going to actually start today by talking about that. But before we get into that, and then later today we have, or tonight, wherever you're at, morning, what have you, we're going to look at some magnetic motors, and we're going to figure out how magnetic motors work and are they really providing over unity / free energy. Spoiler alert, yes, they can. Okay, so before we do that, I have something very important to show you guys. This is a picture of a pig. If you try to tell me that this is a cow, I will say no. This is a pig. Some people try to say that this is a hippopotamus. They're liars. Don't listen to them. Look at this thing. Look at that thing. What is that? I don't know. Anyway, this thing has been going viral on social media. And I'm getting to the point where I'm actually worried that if anything happens to an animal, like the whole time stream is going to be in trouble again, like with Harrenby. When we fell into like the dark timeline, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Pretty sure that's going to happen again, chat. People are already obsessed with this pig. Okay. So I just wanted to warn you guys. I need to have that on the record so that if anything happens and there's a time stream slip, then I'll look like a genius, guys. Hey, it's a girl. How dare you misgender Mudang? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Yeah, it's going to be Harrenby all over again. It's, I mean, we cannot. We're trying to get free energy here, guys. If we have a Harrenby part 2, it's all over. We're just might as well just go back to like sticks and stones, and you know, we figure out wheel. Like, I'm just telling you guys. Okay, on to the serious stuff now. I do have another podcast that I'm scheduling for next week. That's a pretty big one. I'm going into. Gonna fly out somewhere for that. Hopefully not get orbed away. Although I will be honest, I do worry every single time. Where is my list? Okay, here it is. Okay, first thing I want to address a couple things. Serious face, guys. Serious face. A lot of people are posting like, "Oh, Ashton's so full of himself, whatever, on social media. He's talking smack about Elon Musk." Yes, I am. Yes, I am, and I'm 100% serious. At the same time, I am embellishing a little bit to get people's attention. Okay, so don't go over the top thinking like, "Oh, Ashton is like a genius, blah blah blah. He thinks that he's so smart, blah blah blah." Okay, I don't see myself that highly. I'm just pushing the boundary because what is going on with free energy is that we have to wake people up to it. So I'm going to use every avenue available to wake people up to it. Sometimes it's going to be humor. Sometimes it's going to be putting people down. Sometimes it's just going to be education. You know, whatever we got to do. That's called social media, chat. And I am going to continue to troll Elon Musk and push the boundary of getting blocked by Elon Musk like as far as I can push it. So get ready for that. quickly, I want to do a recap because not everybody has been with the stream for like the whole last year. And I was sitting there today eating dinner, and I was just wondering, going, man, I have changed so much, and everything about the whole investigation has changed in the last year. So I want to catch people up who might be new, or if you just want a little recap. So this all started a year ago when I saw 2 military videos of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappearing in that space-time. Even if you think the videos are fake, realize what we're looking at there is consistent with the real military capabilities. And it's really MH370 being represented in that video. To me, that's already more than enough. We shouldn't need any more evidence to that to say we need some answers from the government here. Hoax videos aren't that elaborate. And they definitely aren't consistent with real military capabilities, including infrared, thermal, etc. So looking into that, figured out that there's actually something to this missing plane, and it's not just an ordinary disappearance. Something huge happened to this plane where we had to perpetuate a real cover-up for this plane. And I was not ever really somebody that was big into conspiracies, but I was open-minded enough to say it could be possible. It isn't just possible. It happened, and it was way easier than what I would have previously guessed it takes for a conspiracy cover-up. All it took is just a couple people going on the news and just lying to people about, like, just gaslighting the hell out of them about, like, phones still being able to ring, about, like, that planes can just disappear in 2014, about planes can just crash and we just have no idea where, and they don't leave any debris fields, like really crazy shit that we should not have been just taken at face value. Upon researching the technology related to the videos, which is some orbs flying around, and I'll go ahead and show it here again because you can't show the videos too much. I'm really going to just show the drone video here, though. Upon researching these videos, we find that there is a whole branch of physics that's basically just been ignored by the public, just ignored by the academic community, by scientists. Like the exact thing for these videos to be real, we need a whole area of science that's like kind of brushed over that nobody looks at. And there is. It's called 0-point energy. It's the quantum energy. It's quantum mechanics. It's the difference between the stuff that we see on the very large scale and what we see at the very microscopic quantum scale. We see two completely different behaviors. We had to say, well, okay, how do we make sense of this? Well, it turns out everything we see here with this video represents that 0-point energy and electricity is the great unifier between the large stuff and the very small stuff. And not just that, but like a bunch of scientists have been researching it for a long time. And not just that, the scientists that have been researching it, the stuff into quantum mechanics, electrical engineering, stuff like double slit experiment, plasma physics, the people that have been looking at these things and writing these scientific papers, they're also all connected to like the government and defense contractors. Basically exactly the thing that you would want. You would want, like, okay, if there's this area of physics that's covered up, it's going to have some shady shit all going on like with it. It turns out like Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis, like they've been in the UFO community world for some reason, even though they're not really UFO people. Well, it's because the science and stuff that they're talking about is what enables UFOs to fly. What we see here, an advanced branch of physics that is energy-based and also propulsion-based. So from there, upon looking at these orbs a lot, talking to Bob Grenier, and Bob Grenier reviewed these videos, and especially this part right here where you can see the heat signatures of the orbs. This is probably, the sequence we're looking at right here is probably the most consequential one. In fact, I'm going to play this so I can play it in slow-mo. This is, I just can't imagine any scenario where it can be faked to this level. It's too in-depth, and it's telling a story on what's happening to the plane. Let me switch. And this is where Bob Grenier looked at this, and he was like, "Oh, I have to talk about this because it's showing cold fusion. When we see the heat signature here, it's the exact heat signature we would expect from plasma confined cold fusion. And we only call it cold because it's colder than my sign. It's colder than the sun. This is not good. Not like this, chat. Not like this. Okay. We'll have to deal with that. Okay. Where you see the heat signatures here, this part is way too hard to be animated. Frame by frame. Way too complicated. So this was the part we said, okay, this is actually cold fusion. And it turns out you dig into cold fusion really, like, nobody's has a good answer for why it's producing more output than input in cold fusion. So cold fusion is over unity. Cold fusion is free energy. So this led to the conclusion, okay, they are actually hiding free energy. And if you do the same thing with the scientists, you realize that, yes, the same 0-point energy theories that show we can make a warp drive, wormhole, negative energy, all the stuff we need for the movement of the orbs is also the exact same physics that you need for extracting energy from this sea of energy that's out there. Exactly the same. And it turns out that all of these scientists also promote people like Tesla. And everybody has been saying this for over 100 years. And it's as simple as me saying, and this is not everybody, this is just a few examples: Tesla, Kaluza-Klein, Sakharov, Puthoff, Cole, Hayes, etc. These guys all basically built up upon this idea of 0-point energy being possible. So free energy is actually real. It's actually literally real. It doesn't actually violate the laws of thermodynamics. Although one of the people we're going to look at here today, the way that they made their circuit, they actually did rewrite the first law of thermodynamics, which maybe we will have to rewrite it. It's really a matter of interpretation. But if you've got this energy that's out there, you can extract that energy, and it's not violating the first law because that energy is already out there. The same way where a windmill is not violating the first law of thermodynamics by pulling wind into it. Same concept. So then people are going to ask, why don't we have free energy? This is a great question. This is the one that everybody should be thinking about. Okay, free energy is possible. Why don't we have it? Now, listen closely, guys, because there's a lot of misconceptions about this. One, nothing in this world is actually free, not even free energy, sadly. When we talk about free energy, we're talking about there is unlimited energy to tap into. There's unlimited wind energy as well. There's unlimited sun as well. If you think about it over time, there's more than enough sun. Why don't we have solar panels everywhere? So it's basically like saying the same question, why do we have free energy? It's the same reason, why do we have solar panels everywhere? Because there's a cost associated to it. It's not as simple as, oh, I'm just going to produce this device and I'm going to have unlimited energy from it. It's like, what's the rate that it's producing of energy? How much energy is it producing? Where are you storing that energy? So here are the big factors, guys. Pay attention. The factors of free energy are, where do you store it? Okay, let's say I can extract 100 megawatts at any moment that I want. Well, am I using it actively? No. Okay, well, then what am I going to do? Where am I going to store it? I got to put it in a battery. I got to rate limit it somehow. So realize that these types of devices, when they power themselves as well, they're not turning themselves off. So when you go to sleep, are you going to remember to turn it off all the time? Now we have to have an answer for that. Okay, that's just one thing. Here's another example. And I'm glad that somebody brought up this Bitcoin miner. I think that Bitcoin mining will be one of the very first things that over unity is used for, that 0-point energy is used for, because it's an exact the kind of thing that you want. It's like, I need something using the energy. Well, I have a high energy requirement of Bitcoin mining, and it's making me money. It's just making me cash money straight out the bank. So this is the other thing, though. What are you going to do with this? Are you going to hook it up to the grid? So one of the big first questions that we asked, we have a list of questions, and I interviewed a bunch of people, and I just don't have the time for it. And it's exhausting to do all the interviews you need to do and talk through all the issues, because you realize, too, your option is, are you going to put it on the grid or not on the grid? If it's not on the grid, then you have to deal with everything that I just told you. You have to say, okay, well, what am I doing with the excess energy? How am I using it? How much am I going to, how much am I going to produce at once? What am I going to set my rate of energy production to, so that I can have enough to run everything I need, but not worry about where I put all this excess energy? The other part of it is, if I'm going to hook it up to the grid, which you could do. You can hook it up to your, let's say, your circuit breaker or something. Then you're sending energy back onto the grid. And the energy company is going to notice because they've got meters on all the houses. So they're going to go, why are you sending energy back to us? They're going to assume you're cheating somehow. And then what happens when they find your free energy device? Now it becomes really awkward. Technically, you're not doing anything illegal. I don't think that the government that's been hiding this is going to be too happy with the fact that you're got a bootleg free energy device sending energy back onto the grid. So these are the things these are real challenges. So we've just listed a couple of challenges. So for the people out there that wonder, why does everybody not have it? So you need to have a backup battery system. You probably need to have some kind of auto shut-off system, and then you're going to have to turn it back on when you want to use it again. So these are real things that you have to think through. And then there's the economics of it. Just straight up, can you commercialize it? How cheap can you get it? How cheap is the energy per the fixed cost of the device that you need to produce? Some of these devices that we're going to look at here today use all the ones we're going to look at today are permanent motor or permanent magnet based, basically permanent magnet motors. Okay, well, the parts are expensive for that. How long until that device is going to depreciate? Generally in business, your depreciation is like 5 or 10 years. I would say it's pretty rare to have something depreciate over like 25 years, but you could maybe push it out. So even in that situation, are you saving enough money per year based on how much power the device is producing? These are the things that you have to ask yourself. And this is the reason why it's not available for everybody at the moment, because it's all these factors don't line up at the moment. Like if it was already regulated and people were like, yep, you can send the energy back to the grid, no problem. If the costs were to a point where it was like significantly cheaper, like what if it's only 20% cheaper than your current option versus like 50 or 80% cheaper than your energy? These are the issues. So it's coming down, but a lot of the devices you're going to look at, like they're elaborate, they're expensive. And the most expensive part about any device, anything that you buy, even like this flash drive here, which I think I can show, or whatever it is, like these things are just little pieces of plastic. They cost like nothing to produce. The machines basically produce them. This is all manual labor to produce these devices. People are spending hundreds of hours on them. So, hey, Clark, buzzed up Friday. Nice. Yeah. So that's the reason why we don't have free energy right now. So there you guys go. Now, one of the question that was just brought up here, if the technology is weaponized, that must be the main reason why they won't make it easy as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. So in addition to all of those reasons, also realize that if this gets publicly known, then it exposes the weaponization that we've been doing to this zero-point energy technology we've been doing it for 50 years. I don't know how long time. It exposes all of that and exposes a major cover-up as well of not just an airplane anymore. Now we're talking about you covered up a whole energy source that is totally green that will, obsolete all our forms of energy that we have right now. It'll obsolete them all basically overnight. You covered that up. How are you going to explain that? There's no way to explain that either. So you have all of these barriers to entry and you have these factors working against you. And I would almost guarantee as well, based on the people that I've seen, like Bendini, I think was legit. Cyril, Hutchinson probably was legit as well. Tom Bearden, like these guys that were all producing this stuff, Kepler Aerospace, you either basically have been given the nod that you're going to be allowed to do this, or they're just going to wipe you out and they're going to take your device from you. And now all that work that you did is just gone. And if you try to work with anybody to like get investment to like scale it up, they're just going to either sabotage you or they're just going to buy you out or make you disappear. Sadly, that's the reality of it. And most people can be bought out for cheap. So these are the reasons why the stuff has not been out there, guys. But it is 100% real. And I'm trying to take the shortcut to it, where instead of trying to look back at what we could have done in the 80s or 90s, despite the fact that this is all about magnetic motors tonight, I want to make a microchip. I want to make something small. Like that's why I like the Casimir cavity thing. I don't know if it's a microchip or whatever, but something very, very tiny that can then be scaled up. Because to me, that's the future. With like magnetic motors are cool. That's like nice for a stopgap, or if you want to have a ghetto generator in your house or on your shack or on your cabin or whatever. But for something that like could be put inside of a phone, right? To have free energy on your phone, you're going to need a microchip for that. This can't be, can't be a big generator. So that's the stuff that excites me. Although all free energy excites me. Now, the next thing, this guy, Bernard Haish. So I showed this clip. Actually, I want to show a couple clips. So first thing, I want to show this one about this magnetic motor before I forget.
It's important to understand that any magnetic motor or so forth, there is a very deep connection between magnetism and zero-point energy. So, yeah, go ahead and build a magnetic motor. It's possible to draw this energy just using spins of electrons and permanent magnets.
Okay, so that was Dr. Thorsten Ludwig, PhD, says that it is possible to draw this zero-point energy out just using magnets, because magnets, someone just made me laugh in the chat. Magnets are basically just electrons where their spins are perfectly aligned. So you imagine this electron and just spinning around. A magnet has perfect alignment of all the electrons. Therefore, you're having this very powerful force that's being generated on the direction of the magnet itself. And this is why you can split a magnet in half, and you still then will have a north and south pole on it. You can split it in half. So he's saying, yeah, because magnets are interrupting these this flow or this zero-point energy that's sitting out there. We don't see it, but at these very small scales, the magnet's interfering with it. And then it becomes a matter of how do you harvest that energy. So Thorsten Ludwig has given us the go-ahead. Now, I also showed this video, which was only found on the Internet Archive. Whoever found this for me, thank you. This was a great video. And this video here was from 14 years ago, 2010. Indirect extraction of zero-point energy from the quantum vacuum. Here's the patent number as well. And I think that's what the name of the patent is as well. Let me just look this up real quick. 37379799286. Yeah, quantum vacuum energy extraction. And so here's a fun fact for you guys. This patent was awarded in 2008. So actually in 2026, in just 2 years, the patent's going to expire. Adjusted expiration, 2026, 11/30/2026. So actually they only have 2 more years left of this patent, and then anyone can steal their idea. Did you know that? And I'm not even joking. That adjusted expiration right here, the patent for Casimir cavities expires in 2 years. So look at it this way, like patents for technology are super short. Like you would say, oh, well, that was 2008, like that wasn't that long ago. They're about to lose their patent control over their idea. I'm going to steal it. Sorry, Garrett Moto, Bernard Haish, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm 100% stealing your idea in 2 years when it's completely legal. And this is different. This is actually a big factor in this whole, when you look at it from a large scale, because now if you're somebody that knows about some mechanism, you don't want to patent it because you only have it for 18 years. It's better to just keep it secret. If you can just keep it secret, then wait to patent it until the last possible moment. Then you keep the idea for much longer. It's just basic logic, And this differs majorly from like intellectual property, like music and movies and stuff. You know how long those last? 75 years. It's like your whole lifetime. So it's massive disparity between like advanced technology patents and then like music and like movies and stuff like that. So yeah, you really don't want to be patenting things early. Important to like note that. Now, Bernard Haish here, we had not focused on Bernard Haish very much. Garrett Model, we watched a video a while back on Garrett Model, and he was actually going through this exact same thing, and it was just 3 years ago. So I'm not going to go through this whole video. We watched it the other day, but this segment right here, he goes through and he talks about the scientists that led to the emergence of zero-point energy, and it's basically quantum mechanics. And then how it works, and Casimir, and he talks about how Robert Forward in 1984 showed that you can actually use Casimir cavities to do work. And if you're doing work, then you're getting energy. And here's the forward battery. So this was him explaining the battery concept. And then he shows how Puthoff here, which was very important because this is the idea of your hydrogen is in an equilibrium state. So we're not at the bottom of our ocean. We're in the middle. We're at the top of our ocean. So what this means, if I push down on, let's say in this case, I'm pushing down on my hydrogen atom, it's going to react automatically. It's going to try to go back to the equilibrium state. So if I just like push down on it, just like if it was in the water, right? It's going to come back up. And this is what their whole concept of Casimir cavities is basically you create these little cavities, and then the idea is you're squeezing the atom a little bit, the electron orbital of the atom, and then it's going to go back again. And you're using that work, that squeezing, to produce energy. So I thought, who's this Bernard Heisch guy? There he is. Hold on. Let's look at him, chat. Where is he? And there's the picture of like the squeezing effect that you're going to have happen. So the orbital is going to get contracted, and then it's going to go back to its original state. And this is how we're getting around the problem of having to like pull the cavities apart. We just let nature pull it apart for us. Now, where is he? Come on, Bernard. There he is. So I said, who is this guy, man? So you guys are going to love this. So I decided to Google Bernard Heisch. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe some of these engineers get mad when I don't mention some of them. And I'm sitting here, you know, puffing up Hal Puthoff and what have you. So I'm just going to read from his scientific career, guys. Just the scientific career. It's not very long. He was born in Germany, earned a PhD in astronomy from University of Wisconsin-Madison, 1975. He was a 3-year postdoctoral fellow at the Joint Institute for Laboratory Astrophysics at University of Colorado, Boulder. Oh, so that's how he knows Bernard Heisch or Garrett Model. They were both in Colorado, so that makes sense. And then Heisch worked at the Solar and Astrophysics Laboratory at Lockheed Martin in Palo Alto, California, and as deputy director of the Center for Extreme Ultraviolet Astrophysics Laboratory at the University of California, Berkeley. So he's a Lockheed Martin guy. Lockheed Martin guy right there, chat. So now I'm really interested. Now I'm really interested in Casimir cavities because you tell me that this guy spent, I don't know, when was that? That was probably in the 80s or the 90s, 30, 40 years or longer that he was in Lockheed Martin. Oh, and there's more to it. I haven't even got to the rest of it. Heisch has published more than 100 research papers on a variety of topics. Many in journals such as Nature, Science, Physical Review, Astrophysical Journal, and Annalen der Physik. That's some German thing. Heisch has also edited the Astrophysical Journal for 10 years. In the 1990s, Heisch and Alfonso Rueda developed a quantum vacuum inertia hypothesis responsible for mass. So Heisch and Rueda are the ones who actually invented the idea that zero-point energy explains inertia. Like when we move our hands, the resistance that we feel. Why am I not going through this? The electrons are pushing back because the universe is electric. So Heisch, really interesting guy. I think we had some more stuff that we dug up in the Discord about him. I'm going to probably do like a whole post about him just because I don't want to go through all of it. What was it? Oh, yeah, okay, so this paragraph here, let me pull this over. My work, this is actually directly from Bernard Hayes, The God Theory, Universes, Zero-Point Fields, and What's Behind It All, page 33. My work at Lockheed allowed me to do remarkable amounts of astrophysics, thanks in part to a highly classified program that is now well known, the Spy Satellite Program. Bernard Hayes was working on the Spy Satellite Program for Lockheed Martin? I'm sorry, what? Are you kidding me, chat? Bernard Hayes was working on the Spy Satellite Program for Lockheed Martin. Excuse me, does he know what we're looking at here is legit then? Like, he would know, right? Like, if I ask him and hey, look at this satellite footage, and I'll be like, yo, is this
persistent infrared?
Is this Lockheed Martin Cyber system? Did Bernard Hayes help make this? I mean, this got operationalized in 2013. Like, this is probably before his time, but hello? I mean, we never forget who we're working for. He would refer you to the court. Imagine someone like Bernard Hayes tries to go, oh yeah, I think some VFX experts, the Corridor crew, debunked that video. Like, dude, I would just laugh at him. You are full of shit, dude. So full of shit. Okay. They wanted me to provide them with astrophysical information in order to very accurately calibrate the telescope using star positions. I had nothing against surveillance. Spying on each other is a reasonable way to keep peace. Oh, so he's a fascist. Essentially, they wanted me to develop a very precise catalog of star brightness, so I created an elaborate computer program for them that was probably 10 times more accurate than anything ever done for a classified program. Though I can't be totally sure of that since all such stuff was, after all, secret. Within a couple of years, I was invited to join a research group at Lockheed that actually made its living from NASA projects instead of classified programs. It was called the Space Sciences Laboratory at the time and later split and morphed into the Solar and Astrophysics Laboratory. They were and still are the world's leading group in solar physics. I was still at the Palo Alto lab when, by coincidence, Alfonso Ruda was invited to give a colloquium at Lockheed on his work on the zero-point field. Ruda was a physicist at California State University in Long Beach and was one of the people that Puthoff had cited and had informally collaborated with. He would become my most active collaborator in the matter of zero-point field. Wow. Okay, and then here's another quick mention on this, okay? So inertia, resistance to acceleration. So inertia is resistance to acceleration, is one of the most fundamental properties of matter. Imagine pushing a stalled car down the street. That takes a lot of force because there's a lot of resistance. Some of that resistance is friction, but most of it is inertia. All the matter making up the car is resisting your attempt to move it. The question I pondered was this: could universal radiation pressure cause inertia? And since the zero-point field is present everywhere all the time, could it help explain the instantaneous nature of inertia? I wrote to Ruda from Germany since he was the electrodynamics theorist with the experience and techniques needed to attack the question. Oh, wait, hold on. And then he has another story about going back to Lockheed. Okay, so actually, holy shit, this is wild. Everything connects back to ZPE and Lockheed Martin. It all connects back to Lockheed Martin too. Like, how does all this shit connect back to Lockheed Martin? Guys, you guys know I'm not big on aliens or whatever, but like, if some UFO crashed, we gave it to Lockheed Martin. It's pretty obvious. They're the ones. Maybe we got more than one and we gave one to each, like Northrop Grumman got one, Boeing got one. I just know Lockheed Martin's number one on the list. Number one. It's not close. Do you just hear what Bernard Haisch just said? He said, oh, we're just working in classified projects, but we kind of got bored, so we decided to go help NASA for a little bit. Like, that was basically what he said. We were working on Lockheed or classified projects, but it was just boring, so we decided to help NASA with their most advanced astrophysics group. Try to help them out. It's like when you're like an Olympian and you just feel like you have to go help out the special needs kids, just to make them feel good. It's like we had to go to NASA and help out the special needs, the primitives at the special needs NASA department. That's what they're like. That's what he's saying, though, basically. NASA is basically like the kids' table. And Lockheed Martin has like the jam. And it's not a coincidence that these dudes are all connected to Puthoff as well. All of them are connected to Puthoff. Bernard Haisch is like, yeah, I decided to talk to this guy, Ruda, because I knew that Puthoff was talking to him behind the scenes. And of course, Puthoff was talking to him behind the scenes because Puthoff's like, yeah, dude, 0 point energy. You're right. You got it right. I've been working on black projects, and we know for sure because we've got crafts that just defy gravity. Okay. Now, switching gears. And sorry, we will get to the magnetic motor stuff here in just a second, guys. But there is one more thing I want to read. Where is it? Okay, so we looked at quantum energy extraction. Definitely going to steal Haitian Modal's idea, the Casimir cavities. You guys only have 2 years. You better market it because I'm coming in hot, chat. Coming in hot. Don't worry, we'll give them credit. We'll call the first model like the B and H, or like the, what do we call it? The H&M. We'll call it the H&M. Model number 1, H&M Casimir cavity design. Okay, where is my other thing? I have some scientific papers up here somewhere. I have too many things open, chat. Okay, this might... Oh, here it is. I see the dirds. Okay, I recognize the dirds. Here we go. Okay, so the next thing is, and Eric Davis, if you guys aren't familiar with some of these names, I'm going to keep repeating the names. Eric Davis is also, Eric Davis is like BFF to Puthoff. How do I know that? Because they've written every paper together. They do everything together. They mention each other all the time. And Eric Davis is on record saying my boss is Hal Puthoff. So, I mean, there you go. So this paper supposedly was written by Eric Davis, the one you're looking at right here. And there you go. Look at this. This is the forward battery, right? So Robert Forward, 1984. This is literally the graphic. It's obvious that Eric Davis just copy and pasted it out there. That's why the quality is so crap. They're just copying papers and copying images out of papers as well because they know it works. Have I heard of Amy Eskridge? Of course, chat. I'm the guy that made Amy Eskridge's thing very popular. Now, she was known before me, but when I saw the interview of Amy Eskridge talking to Jeremy and Mark Sokol, I took several clips from it and they went really viral because I watched that whole thing and I was like, Amy Eskridge has been on the inside and it's probably affected her psychologically. A lot of people see this stuff and they lose their minds, and I'm not saying that's what happened to Amy, but they go, how have we been hiding this? We have to get this out. My life is a lie. The universe is a lie. How do I deal with this? How are people been lying about this? Why have they been lying about this? And then you start to wonder, man. Your mind just really starts to wonder. So you have to be very psychologically strong to not let this completely change your entire worldview. Now, what I wanted to read you guys here was just a couple parts of this. And really the one, so this part about voltage fluctuations right here is this idea that if we wind a coil, this will create resistance and you can add this resistance to your circuit. And this immediately made me think of the RLC circuits that we were looking at, guys, with the parametric oscillations. So if you're not familiar with the parametric oscillations, I think I have a clip that I can share for you guys real quick. Because now that I've seen this stuff, now I'm
variable inductor.
Now I'm trying to connect it. So it's this is our parametric oscillation where we're oscillating the inductor here. That's the one on the right. The resistor is right up here. And then down here where you can't see is there's a capacitor. And so one of the things we found out is that the amount of resistance here changes this oscillation factor that you're seeing here, or if you want to think of it like a swing. So when I saw this thing about the coil changing the resistance, it immediately made me wonder about parametric oscillations. Now you can see, look at the amplification that we're seeing here. And there's a paper that I'm going to look at that I think some of you guys linked to me as well that was all about all about being able to amplify energy and how it might actually be possible with certain resonance. Well, we're already been ahead of the game. We've already been ahead of the game. Okay. The second one here after that was, this one's one I'm going to read off to you. Why? Because it's directly connected to what I was telling you guys in the last stream. ZPF energy extraction by ground state energy reduction. Now, why does this get me excited? Because people are going to say, what does this mean? What does this mean? It means the exact thing that I was just telling you guys 5 minutes ago. What is the 0 point energy ground state? The ground state is sitting on top of the ocean. So I've got my quarter. Where's my quarter? This is called an American quarter. It's 25 cents. And it's floating on top of this 0 point energy. So what we want to do is we want to extract the energy underneath it so it sinks. And then what's going to happen? It's going to shoot back up. We're going to extract the energy, and it's going to come back up. This is the Casimir cavity idea. You're sitting on top of this ocean. We're going to make it sink by extracting the energy underneath it. We're going to pull that energy out, and then we're going to let it go back to its equilibrium point again. That's what I think he's saying here when I read 0 point fluctuation energy extraction by ground state energy reduction. That's what it sounds like to me. At first analyzed by Boer and later by Puthoff, there's Puthoff reference again, the following paradox was addressed. Even though atomic ground states involve electrons in accelerated motion, such states are nonetheless radiationless in nature, means they're not giving off energy, even though it is well known from classical electrodynamics that charged particles undergoing acceleration must always emit radiation. For the standard Bohr ground state orbit of the hydrogen atom, this was interpreted as an equilibrium process, which radiation by the electron in its ground state orbit was compensated by the absorption of radiation from the background vacuum electromagnetic energy. So what they're saying there is that the reason why the electron on the hydrogen is not radiating energy is because it's absorbing energy at the exact same rate while it's sitting on top of the ocean in perfect equilibrium of energy. This interpretation has recently been strengthened by the analysis of Cole and Zhou, I don't know. Zhou. Using a radiation and absorption 0 point energy radiation is using an SED model for the vacuum ZPE. Since the balance between emitted orbital acceleration radiation and absorbed ZPE radiation is modeled as taking place primarily at the ground state orbital frequency, one can consider the possibility of using this feature in some type of mechanism to extract energy from the ZPF. One fundamental difference between the SED interpretation and that of quantum mechanics is that in quantum mechanics, the first state of the electron is regarded as having zero angular momentum, whereas in the SED interpretation, the electron has angular momentum of whatever divided by 137. Okay. So why is this then important when it comes to magnetic motors? Is that if we have the ability where we just have to extract some energy and change the ground state of the electrons, then we can pull energy out and then they'll go back to normal as well. This also brings up this idea of oscillation, the same way with the Casimir cavity, where we have this cavity where it's in its normal state, and then we squeeze the orbital, then the normal state again. Again, we have just bobber, and it's just sinking down a little bit, and then it just goes back to normal again. And we're taking that energy, and we're pulling it out. And then we do this, and we're not violating the laws of thermodynamics anymore. We're doing the same thing that we are doing with wind, except for with wind, you need it to be windy. With 0 point energy, it's out there all the time. Now, this opens the door to magnetic motors. Because in our magnetic motors, we have this powerful magnetic field, especially in a permanent neodymium magnet, and all the electrons in the magnet are lined up together. Like they're all marching side by side. So when they're zipping through the 0 point fluctuations all around us, they're swirling it around. They're messing with it, potentially even pulling energy out of it, creating little waves. Now, I think it was Red Collie that showed this, had a good visual that I want to show you guys on Twitter. See if I can find it real quick. Okay, yeah, Red Collie. Red Collie, I like him. He's a little esoteric for my taste in general, but his engineering is legit. He's doing stuff himself, and he doesn't give a damn what people think. So respect to him. I think he's shown some of the coolest experiments that I've seen out here, and one of them here that we're looking for. If there's anything inappropriate that shows up here, not my fault, by the way. Is a magnet that he had spinning around. Yeah, so here's one where you can see he's messing around with different designs of spinning magnets. The one I want, I think it's coming up. This one, I think. Let me see.
It's a repulsive orientation.
Yeah, here you go. Okay, this is it. So watch what happens here when he turns this magnet on. He's going to have this magnet just spin. Ready? It's causing a levitation effect of this other magnet. This magnet lifts up above it here. There's another one where I think it was better, where he shows like if he like just you can basically the magnet will like jump up and down a little bit as well. Here you go, spin lock. Is this it? Whatever. Anyway, you guys get the idea here. So the idea is that we are manipulating the 0 point fluctuations with magnets, potentially with magnet spin as well. And you can think of spin as just another way of swinging our swing. Just a frequency. So, yeah, red is showing the phase shift principles tied to the right-hand rule. Its turning of a magnet is from the phase shift that provides the force to overcome the stand in a motor to generate flow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's some sacred geometry as well. He's big into crop circles and stuff like that. Okay, let's start with the videos I wanted to show. So the first one, I want to look at a few magnetic motors tonight, guys. Okay, first one I want to look at is we're going to watch this kid, okay? So this kid is like, I don't know, 8 years old. Daniel's Inventions. I don't know. He's young. Now, I want to point out something. There's no way this kid didn't have help. I want to know who this kid's dad is. That's what I want to know. So this kid has this extensive motor setup here. No way this kid made it by himself, and I'm guessing this is several $1,000s worth of equipment right here. So you can see already it's probably electromagnets. Yeah, these are electromagnets that we're seeing here hooked up. And we can already, because we've watched enough magnets and motors and stuff, we have some pretty good idea of what's happening here. But he's going to explain it, and he's going to show the meters here as well. I'll let it just spin a little bit for you guys. Okay, so another thing that's really important about these designs is that it doesn't have to have zero input. This is where a lot of people get lost. It just has to have more output than input. If it has more output than input, it's over unity. A lot of people think that it needs to just be spinning by itself. They don't. If you have more output than input, you can just reroute the output back into the input. And people say, well, won't it spin to get forever? And you say, yeah, you just set up a switch on the output back to the input. And then once you turn off the output back into the input, it's going to slow down and it's going to stop. That thing's moving pretty fast. And some people point out in the comments, like, you have to be a little bit careful. Like this can, like, if one of those magnets flies off, like, yeah, somebody could get majorly hurt. So let's skip ahead.
So let's get started. Today, we want to explain a little bit more about the timing of the motor. The switches we use for the timing of the motor are car ignition coils for the ignition coil. We have 12 igniters here, but we only use 11 of them because there's only 11 electromagnets in this motor.
Okay, so there's 11 electromagnets, and he's definitely reading off a script, kids. He's reading off a script. This kid is reading off a script, gentlemen. So for my conspiracy-minded people, look where his eyes are looking here. Definitely reading a script. Definitely his dad told him what to do.
This is the
Or his mom. Don't be sexist.
actual switch we use. These switches use 12 volts DC to work. We put 24 volts DC into them after we accelerate the motor with 12 volts DC first, so the switches don't burn out. These switches need 3 volts DC to trigger the circuit. They have a small trigger coil to do that. On the back end of this switch, there's 4 connections. The 2 connectors on your right are for the 2 wires of the trigger coil. The 2 connectors on your left are to energize the electromagnet. The first one is the negative, and the second one is the positive. The negative from the battery is connected to the case of the switch, and the positive from the battery is connected to the second connector here. Here, we have a different variety of car igniter switches. They all work on a single principle, but the wiring connections might be slightly different.
Sorry, so basically it's saying that using a switch is mainly all they're doing here, right? They're just oscillation.
The rotor has 12 sets of 3 magnets each. The magnets are 3/4 of an inch wide by 3 inches long. This is
So 12 sets of 3 magnets. You always see threes, multiples of 3s everywhere.
a small replica of the rotor. The rotor has grooves in it.
The rotor having grooves, doesn't that remind you of the parametric oscillations, chat? Yeah, somebody in the replies mentioned a brushless motor as well. I don't know what that means. I'd have to look it up. But the fact that you have these grooves does remind me of the parametric oscillations.
And we are using clams to hold the magnets from flying out at a very high speed. The clams are made out of aluminum and have 2 stainless steel screws. They fit inside the grooves. There's 11 trigger coils. They're skinny and long. There's 1 for each of the electromagnets. The timing wheel up in front has 12 permanent magnets, 1 for each of the 12 permanent magnets on the rotor. The number of trigger coils and magnets on the timing wheel are identical with the number of electromagnets and coils on the motor. We have a digital watt and amp meter here. We will measure the input voltage, amps, and watts. We will only use a 12-volt battery for this experiment. The speed of the motor will run at a lower speed, at 12 volts DC. As the RPM of the motor goes up, the input current will drop down to 70 watts.
Okay, so if you're struggling here, what it sounds like, I'm an expert, guys, trust me, is he's got a switch and they've got a timing mechanism where the magnets on the outside and the magnets on the inside, it sounds like what they're doing is the exact same thing that we talked about several weeks ago, where they're flipping the polarity around. So this, why else would you have a switch, and why else would you have it be timed? Because you want to have there be this resonance. And so in this case, what it seems like they're doing is as the magnets come up close to one another, they're attracting. And then what you want to do is once they get past each other, you want to flip it, and then it becomes repulsive. And if you do this back and forth very quickly, like it's, really, really, really quickly with perfect resonance, then you have a situation where your motor, you're getting energy both ways that the magnets pass each other. They're basically giving you free force. To me, I think that's how this is working. And then it becomes what? Then it just becomes a matter of how advanced is our material science so that we can have that flip in perfect synchronization thousands times per minute. Like I think the RPMs here is probably over 1,000, maybe even several thousand. So you need extreme high efficiency for your resonating switches, switching the polarity back and forth. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's switching back and forth as the magnets are going past one another. Oh, and then the other part where he explained the voltage in amps. So when it comes to the voltage and the amps, he's basically saying that the current actually goes down as the motor speeds up. But the motor if the motor was not generating energy, then it should continue to draw the same amount of energy. In fact, it should draw more and more energy the faster it goes. But instead, it's doing the opposite. It's drawing less and less energy the faster it goes. Yeah, you can see it in the bottom left right here, chat. The bottom left number. It started at 90 and it goes down to 85. Oh, we're snipping this, chat. This is going on my Twitter profile tomorrow. So this is another proof of over unity. I mean, can somebody give me a counter argument? You can just literally watch the amps go down. Maybe I'm missing something. But I mean, you guys, so you see the number at the bottom left, right? Number says 80 now, right? What does it say? It's hard to read. Yeah, so it's already down to 80. Yeah, the power is already down to 80. It's going to keep dropping too. Yeah, voltage is at 12. And amps just is decreasing. 74. 73. 72. So this is the part where it's like people say, why don't you just show it? Why don't you just show it, guys? There you go. Why don't I just show it? You're staring at it. You guys right now on Friday night, September 27th, you're watching it right there. Go to your favorite engineer and show them this video and go, you can see the amps going down as the device speeds up. Shouldn't it be pulling more load the harder it's working? Isn't that how you think thermodynamics works? Just ask them that. See what they say. That's 70 amps now. The amount of power it's drawing from this battery is going down. And again, why is this important? Because people just don't understand what free energy is. People think that free energy means there can be no input. But once you realize, yes, you can have input, you just need more output than input. He's demonstrating it here. The rest of it is, okay, well, now go ahead and take the energy it's producing and turn it into useful. Now you need to make a circuit. And you need to have batteries or capacitors. Now you have another engineering problem. So this is the reason why it's not that simple. The load is the magnet thing spinning. What do you guys think the load is? You're staring at it. This device spinning is the load. So what's happening here, guys? The battery itself is switching the electromagnets. Just switching the electromagnetic polarity back and forth. That's all it needs to do. It doesn't even need to probably switch it. It can probably just turn it off and on. If it's turned off, then the magnet's going to move freely. And if it's on, then it's going to get pulled towards the magnet. We're just creating an asymmetry. It's really that simple. And that's why what he's showing here is over unity. This is over unity. This is free energy. This is how easy it is to prove to people. We're staring at a free energy device.
Now?
And how do you turn it off? We'll just unplug it. Unplug it. What do you mean?
We will repeat this experiment with a 24-volt DC circuit. The motor will use more energy, but the speed of the motor will quadruple.
See, this is what makes me excited, guys. You guys are starting to get it. It's off and on really, really fast. That's what they're doing. Like really fast. Like many times per second fast. Like that's how fast it's off and on. And because everything's in perfect alignment, you can just have all the off and on switches synced up. Because when the magnet goes, when the first magnet goes past the first magnet on the inside is the same time the second one's going past the second magnet. So you don't need to have the switches be in some complicated alignment. They just need to be all synced up together. And you have them all turning off and on at the exact same time. That's it, guys. That's the secret to free energy. I've just given it to you guys. It's simple. People ask, like, explain free energy. Do it open source. I'm literally explaining to you right now. That's how you can do free energy. You want to do it? You can do it. Build a magnetic motor. Do exactly what these guys did. What you're going to realize, what you're going to realize is that all these free energy concepts are basically the same. It's basically just using resonance to manipulate magnets, to trick it into, just basically on and offing switches. And now your magnets are, either attractive or not attractive. And that little asymmetry is energy, excess energy you can use. And then you need to have your back end, your back end circuitry engineering design is going to have a capacitor to store the excess energy, right? So now you have to build out your circuit design and you say, okay, well, do I want a way for it to feed back into itself? So if so, that's going to be in your circuit design as well, right? And if you can't understand this, like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's about as simple as you can possibly make it. We're spinning our pendulum and our pendulum is just getting bigger and bigger, man. Oh, I wasn't watching. So hold on. I got to go back. So, okay. So he's hooking it up to 2 batteries here. Okay. So we can see it's 24 volts, which makes sense, right? 2 12-volt batteries, 24 volts. That's the total. That's the capacity. If you want to think of it that way. And then the bottom left, we're at, what's the number here? I can't see chat. I got to go. Hold on. It says 2244. I think it's 22.4. I can't tell. Oh, 200, 199, 196, 193. So it's actually, it seems like it's even reducing even faster now. The power is going down once again with 24 volts DC. And the voltage basically doesn't change. The amps go down and the power goes down. You can see the amps in the top right, 6.7, 6.6. The faster it goes, the less energy it draws. I mean, that's free energy. That's free energy. So again, this is the difference between the physicists and the engineers. The physicists will look at that and they'll go, this can't be possible. The math says you shouldn't be able to do this. And the engineers will go, well, there you go. You're staring at it. You're literally staring at it. You're staring at the whole equipment apparatus right here. There's no hidden batteries. You can tell it's all hooked up to meters. The meters are not, unless you think the meters are lying and he switched them out between this or whatever. Like, this also looks like a science fair to me in the background here. You're staring at the meters hooked up to the device. You're looking with your eyes. You're seeing the power draw go down. If you understand anything about electrical engineering, what you're looking at here should amaze you. And by the way, this is my son. That's Ashton Jr. right there, chat. There you go. That was the big reveal. This was my son. I have a bastard out there that I didn't know about. He parts his hair the same as me. You see the resemblance, chat? That's not my son, guys. Calm down, chat. Calm down. It's not my son. The hair does track, though, guys. It does track. We had to. It is weird because he does look a little bit like me. If you haven't been watching, we're down to like 144 watts of power or whatever that is, and we're at being drawn, and we're down to 6 amps from like, I don't know, 8. This kid's cool as a cucumber. He acts like he makes free energy every day. Look at this kid. He's like, yeah, it's a free energy device. So what? He's like, I banged your mom last night. Who cares about free energy? Jesus, chat. For the record, before I watched this, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Actually, this convincing. I watched it and didn't pay enough attention to the meters before. Yeah, this kid's like, I don't even care. Just Fortnite on. I want to go play Fortnite with my friends, Dad. Dad's like, no, you're going to show this device and we're going to pretend like an 8-year-old made this device. Dude, this little kid did not make this. This little kid did not make this. Let's just be honest with ourselves, guys. This kid did not make this. He helped his dad make this, and then his dad's getting him an easy A, chat. Well, he probably does power his PC gaming rig on this.
Now, we will use the collapsing field energy to lighten up some lights. We have 11 electromagnets, and we will use 4 of them to power 4 arrays of 20 LEDs each. We have no diodes connected. They will use partially inductive energy from the circuit and mostly the collapsing field energy.
So now he's going, okay, if you didn't believe me when I showed you the meters, I'm just going to power a bunch of lights to show you that this wheel is actually generating useful, powerful energy that can be used to do stuff. So we saw that it was drawing less and less energy from the battery. And he's basically saying, I can run this as long as I want, I think. Or maybe it's just a matter of like that excess energy that was not being drawn before. He's like, we can power a whole bunch of lights with this. And they're going to look how bright they are. Yeah, the meters aren't going to convince anybody. When you show them shiny lights, they're like, ooh, it's shiny lights. That's the answer. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
And powers.
Okay, let's listen to the kid talk some more. Now what?
As you can see, there's grooves around each bolt. The outside wheel of the timing can be rotated clockwise or counterclockwise. That will change the timing of the motor. The motor will either accelerate or decelerate. Also, the input current and powers the motor will change. The electromagnets are 2 inches thick and 3 inches in diameter. There's a primary and a secondary. The primary is bifiliar wound and has 2 windings side by side. Also, the secondary winding is bifiliar wound and has 2 windings side by side.
Wait, is that true? Was this actually? Are you joking, or is this actually hosted by Lockheed Martin? Is this actually hosted by Lockheed Martin? I'm just ready to just say that Lockheed Martin's hiding free energy.
That will increase the strength of the electromagnet, and it will also increase the inductive energy of the coil and the collapsing field energy. Now, we will do this one last time.
One more time? Yeah, maybe I anti-aged myself. Maybe this is me. Yeah, he probably should have some safety glasses. That thing's spinning like really fast, and he's just like really all up on it. Like he's like about to look up in there. He could lose a hand. Boom! Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Sorry if that freaked you out. If it starts just lifting off, it's gonna lift off like a UFO. I think he is saying that it's actually producing some torque. Yeah, centrifugal force. That's why, yeah, watch him get disappeared into a portal right now. Okay, so that was cool.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and make sure to subscribe because we have some really cool videos coming.
No, I'm not subscribing. Although I think he deserves an A for sure. A for effort at a minimum. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to clip that because, I mean, how are we just? I guess the problem is people need to understand what free energy is and what the methods are that can produce free energy. Because instead, otherwise, people just see magnets, just magnets by themselves. That's not just free energy by itself. You need a system. So if you've been out here, like clearly what we're seeing here, some kind of switching mechanism, changing the polarity or just turning it off and on. Really, why? Because you don't even need to shift the polarity. We don't need maximum efficiency. We need to remove the resistance after we have the attractive force of the magnets come past one another. Simple as that. As long as we get more energy out, then we're good. Boy, people are pretty upset. You're admitting you don't know shit, Ashton. Well, that was a very persuasive argument. I find that the dumbest people on the planet, usually the stupidest people on this entire planet, usually their arguments are, that's not accepted. I'm smarter than you. Or I'm an expert. Like usually it's like that, where somebody who's actually right, they don't get angry usually. They usually just will say, oh, here's the answer, right? If you say the wrong answer on the internet, usually you get the right answer from about 100 people. When you say the right thing, when you say something that's true on the internet, then usually what you get is a bunch of people who are very angry at you because they don't want to hear the truth and they're not ready for it. So if you are one of those people who's going to be a detractor, the only thing that you should say is you should try to explain how you think you should just explain your position, explain the science, especially if you're so smart. I find that most people, when it comes to electrical engineering, electricians, physics, even people who have PhDs, they're phonies that are faking it. They're just faking it. They don't even really understand their own topic. And they get very defensive and insecure when you present them with evidence and scientific papers that they don't agree with, even though they can't refute them logically. Okay. Now, what's that? Elbow reveal? Oh man, what does that mean? We have an elbow fetish. Ooh, chat, look at that. Ooh, I'm starting my OnlyFans chat. $9.99 a minute. Okay. Okay, you guys got to see the elbows. Jeez. Next device. Don't worry, there's more, chat. Okay, actually, I want to show this one next. Because I want to see now if we can figure this one out. Okay, didn't show up. Isn't he a Mythbuster? I didn't watch that show, but is this guy a Mythbuster? Adam Savage. So this is actually a perpetual motion machine that's at like some kind of prestigious British place. And only like 1 or 2 people know how it works. Now, right off the bat, based on what we already know, I think we can already make some educated guesses. It's using magnets, right? It's using magnets. It's really not that hard. It's using magnets. We can see there's 3 things here as well. 3 things. These 3 boxes on the right here on this circle, like in the triangle, and they're all in a perfect 0-point orientation. I would bet just about anything that we've got magnets in there. And if it's not connected to a circuit, then those are going to be permanent neodymium magnets. So it's probably just got neodymium magnets, and it's basically just pushing the motor, pushing the wheel along. And it's not producing over unity, but it's going to be very, very close to 100% efficiency. And the magnets are probably what they're allowing to do it. Now let's watch.
From Tesla.
I'm not going to listen to this guy because he's a dork, but you can see it spinning around in the background. Now, the claim here is that this will spin for years. And eventually it slows down, but it takes a long time. Now you're looking at it right there. This is the real deal. Presumably what's happening here is that there's magnets in these 3 things, and then these 2 black bars also have magnets in them, and it's probably manipulating a similar version of what we just saw, but on a much smaller scale. Oh, well, Sebastian just spoiling it. The weight of the magnet uses its own force to spin on the spindle. Yeah, that could be it. It's just manipulating an asymmetry, right? So when you think about it, all of it is just manipulating asymmetry. No, weights would not be enough. If it was just weights, I mean, you can try it out at home. If you just put weights in there, it's not going to work. Things are just going to stop immediately. The fact that it's spinning like this means it's extremely, extremely, extremely efficient. So this device is very important to understand when it comes to magnets, because only magnets can pull this off. I mean, you can have electromagnets like that kid did, but you need some asymmetry being produced, which means you need to break out of the equilibrium system that we've got set up. The break out of the system is slowing you down. You need something where your swing is going to perpetually go back and forth with this one has no input. This is not plugged into anything. So this is not a battery. The battery would run out. This has to be using something else. And what is a permanent force? The only permanent force is a magnet. This is 100% using magnets. And this is part of the reason, too, why, and I'm giving you commentary for what they were talking about. The guy that was, the only one person's been allowed to read the answer, and he's like the curator of the device or something like that. And he said he was disappointed when he read the answer. Why would he be disappointed? You'd be disappointed because you find out, oh, it's just magnets. It's just magnets. That's it. Not that complicated. Just manipulating magnetism. Oh, that's all? Yeah. And it's perfectly efficient. Next to perfect efficiency.
If they are a chemical battery, and this thing is insulated, then I move on to these 2 items, of which, given my very, very limited unschooled knowledge of electricity, I might imagine that one is an anode and one is a cathode, and that there is a way in which, there's a way in which that this could simply be a charged device moving past a magnet, creating a little bit of impetus from the other side, perhaps some type of electrical influence that is allowing these cups to both dispense with and then receive a charge. But then there is this other thing, which is this copper pipe, which runs from one side of the wheel down and across the bottom and up to the other. And it is open on both sides, except for a heat shrunk, I'm sorry, what do you call it? A heat sinked box with a pair of coaxial cable inputs and this extra, there's a valve. There's this piece over here is a valve. And so that leads me to wonder if there isn't some pressurization or some chemical reaction that allows.
I doubt there's a chemical reaction. You have to keep in mind, for this thing to be multiple years without slowing down, there probably has to be something very basic going on. It's not going to be very complicated, because if there's any fuel source at all, then the fuel source is going to run out. So yeah, let's skip ahead. I think she tells him the story. I think I already told you guys the story. Yeah, so here's the letter, and the guy wrote in the letter, okay, blah, 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 something about reading it. I mean, but we basically can figure out how this works. And at this point, like this is like Stone Age free energy, Stone Age stuff right here. When it comes to the real deal, then we want to be looking at other devices. So I'm going to switch. Let's look at another one. This one we're going to look at is probably the last one we're going to look at tonight. This is the Liberty engine. Okay. I don't know if we're going to play the whole thing, because it's basically about how to produce it. So another thing, a lot of people say, like, hey, why not make all your stuff available online? I don't want to be disrespectful, but honestly, that's some of the dumbest takes that are out there, because like there's so much online. Just type in free energy device, free energy motor. You're going to find all these videos that I showed you here. The issue isn't show me how it's done. The issue is, what do I trust that works and what doesn't work? And the answer is, you need to understand how electromagnetism works and how electrical engineering works. Until you understand it, there's no way that you can ever be convinced. You're going based on what people tell you to think otherwise. And so that's why it's like, you know, it's not a matter of showing it at all. If you, once you understand it, you're like me and you're just waiting for Haitian and Moto's patent to expire so that you can steal it, because you know it works. And you're like, I'm definitely stealing that idea, right? That's what it's really about. So I would say, but if you want to know the answer, from my opinion, pulsed energy. Yeah. It's obviously related to pulsing or flipping a switch and doing that in a very high frequency, right? As fast as you can get that to go, probably the better. And if you can do that, and you can have like your magnet motor set up in an oscillation so that it perfectly aligns up when the magnets are passing one another, then yeah, you're going to get more out than you're putting in. Especially if you align it and you optimize it to like switch at the exact right moment. Now, keep in mind, like if you have your switch happen at the wrong time, like too early, you're going to not have perfect efficiency. So you need your switches to be switching at the perfect right time. But with today's like material science, that's certainly possible. Now, could we have done that like 50 years ago? Not as easily. We still could have done it, because anybody can do this. But it's hard. It's easier and easier to do as the material science catches up, as our tools catch up, as our parts catch up. So this one is another start to finish full build of this device. One more thing, say build it. No, I don't want to. You know how fucking busy I am? I have a 9-to-5 job. I'm on social media giving you guys content, and I stream 3 nights a week. And I have no memberships. You go fucking build it. What are you doing with your life? I have a shit ton of stuff that I'm doing. And I'm doing podcasts and responding to people's DMs, doing Twitter spaces and all this stuff. I want you to understand, Fuck you. You go fucking build it. I'm not your little pigeon where I'm going to go build shit for you to make you happy. I'm not Elon Musk sending a rocket up and making it land for you so you can clap and go, Eee! I'm literally teaching you how to do it. That's my job. And if I don't have all my other stuff, then maybe I will build one. To me, I don't care. I already know it works. If you want to be convinced, you go build it. You go figure it out. And not to be harsh, but I get this stupid comment all the time. You go do it with your life. That's the whole point of this. How do I mute this? Well, people are like, yeah, you go build. It's like, why? I'm showing you a video of somebody building it in real time. Like, why do they want me to go build it? It's just like people are just so fucking lazy on this planet. It's all silver platter. Give it to me on a silver platter. I want to be told what to believe. Teach me. Tell me what I should think is real or not. Like, why don't you just figure it out for yourself? And this is the big problem. Just exactly as DeHaven says, you cannot fully grasp what's going on unless you understand it yourself. That's the simple reality of the situation we're in today. And because everybody demands somebody else tell them what's real and what's not, this is how we get stuck in this idea of you can't break the laws of thermodynamics. And you're like, do you even know what the laws of thermodynamics are? And they just go, no, no. So he's fabricating the whole motor right here for you guys. So he's fabricating this Liberty engine. If you don't know what's going on, here we go. He's using these neodymium magnets. He's sticking them together. Look, he's sticking them together in groups of 3 as well. We see that a lot, groups of 3 magnets. And now he's taking the magnets and he's jamming them into these grooves in the motor. Jamming them in the grooves into the motor. So again, he's going to be using probably a similar, very similar, all of these magnetic motors are basically using the same concepts. They're finding specific resonance. They're all using magnets. And then the magnets aren't completely around the motor either, right? They're separated. They're spaced out. And I will say, I do see them use 3 like a lot. For some reason, using 3 magnets is the thing. I don't really get why. Sometimes you see them stacked like this or like this. In other cases, you see them like kind of like angled a little bit. I don't really know how to describe it, like offset. And truthfully, if I knew all the answers, I would just tell you guys. But I think we've explained more than enough to realize like there's something going on here. That's real. It's not movie magic that we're watching here. So he's smoothing it basically, and this is the whole shebang here. I'm going to probably skip ahead a little bit. So now he's fabricating the case for it. And you see, like, okay, this is a 30-minute video. This probably took weeks to build. I don't have weeks to go and like build this, guys. Like, I have a real life. I have a real job that I work 9 to 5. Right? Like, people need to understand. Like, and it's certainly not my. I have no obligation to prove to the world that the stuff's real. I'm just here for the people that want to be woken up, that you want to understand. I'm giving you the truth so that when somebody questions you on free energy or what have you, you can explain like, this is how it works. This is why it's real. You can explain it to them. If they don't want to believe, they don't have to believe it. There's going to be people that want to live like Amish people, even in the future where we have free energy. There's always going to be people wanting to live like Amish people or, Scientologists or whatever. No hate on Scientologists. Don't disappear me, guys. I'm just joking. Okay, let's see what we got here. One sec. And so I'm mostly just showing this so people can realize that like there are elaborate how to do it's online. This is, if somebody was faking this is so much work to go into to fake this. They think they've done all this effort. And we'll look at the comments in a second as well. Yeah, there's no sound. There's nothing to hear anyway. It's just music. There's nothing to hear. So he's hooking it all up now. Okay, there's no hidden batteries because there's no voltage, right? So if there was hidden batteries, we would see the voltage go up. So again, these are people like literally showing you with meters. And I'm only showing you the videos that I've looked at a lot of videos. I'm just showing you guys the ones that I think are legit. The Liberty engine I wasn't 100% sold on, but it looks like it's feasible. The thing is, there's lots of different designs where you can accomplish the same thing. And so instead of having an input, so instead of having like an input battery, in his, he just basically winds it up himself. So again, the battery, all it's doing is starting the spinning up. And then what's going to happen is it's going to start spinning up just like we saw with the kid. It's going to start producing energy itself. And once it does that, he's got it set up so it's feeding back into itself. And now it's just perpetual. And then what he should be able to do is plug it into some lights, right? You should be able to plug it into something. Yeah, and you don't want it to be vibrating around. This is also the problem with moving parts. If you've got moving parts like this, your thing's going to move around. You kind of need it locked into place. Yeah, this is 7 months, guys. 7 months of research on the Liberty One engine. So people are like, oh, just go build it yourself. It took them 7 months. Better part of a year. How much money would you want to be paid for something that took you almost a year to produce? Almost a year. Let's just call it half of a year. So if you're somebody that makes $100,000 a year from a normal job, then for this to make any sense, you would have to sell it for $50,000 plus whatever it cost you to make it, plus whatever it cost you in materials. So now do you understand why this device is so expensive? This is not like something that you're getting out of a sweatshop in China. Like, it requires highly skilled labor to produce it. This is not worth millions of dollars. It's not producing enough energy to be worth millions of dollars. How do you calculate the value of this device? The answer is actually really simple. It's not that complicated. How much energy is it producing over the life of the design? How much energy over the life of the design on average? If this device can last for 10 years, you take the amount of power times the price per kilowatt hour, and then you multiply it by whatever for 10 years. That's what the value of this product would be. And you're going to find out that the value of that might be $100,000, maybe less. It's not as big as you imagine. Because remember, even though it's free energy, there's still a specific rate. It's not drawing infinite energy in any given moment. It still can pull so much energy at once. And so they made a bunch of improvements too. Like, they made it more powerful. They made it quieter. They made it less moving around less and less. So basically just made it more efficient. Okay, let's see what else they're going to do here. So I think he's going to show us the meters now. Okay, so what are the meters going to say? 100 watts. Is that 228? Yeah. $228. I think that's watts, right? Anywhere you connect to 228. Volts? Is it volts? Yeah, it could be volts. It's volts. I don't know. Okay, most people say it's volts. Couldn't see anything. So now he's connecting a light to it. You can see it easily powering the light. Continuous 240 volt. Okay, got it. volt is basically your ability to do work. It's your potential. Your potential. And then if you just unplug that wire, then it's not powering itself anymore, and then it's going to slow down. So again, people ask, well, how do you stop it? You just unplug the one wire, and then it stops feeding itself, and then boom, now it's going to slow down. It's going to stop. And so they says, okay, well, we're going to take it apart live on the video so you can see there's no battery sitting inside of it. Because this is where all the idiots will go, where are you hiding the battery? Right? Okay, I'm literally taking it apart. And if you're like that moron Electro Boom guy, whatever his name is, Medi or whatever, like he's so stupid that he's going to say they're doing movie magic. They're doing a clip and then they're secretly pulling the battery out when you're not looking or something, right? Because for him, like he won't even believe what his eyes see. He just only believes what he was incorrectly taught in school. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, there's no batteries in their chat. Okay. And this is just more of how they built it. This is a complete assembly. So you got the whole full assembly there, guys. So if you want to watch that, this is the Liberty engine. And again, you can just Google free energy generator. Oh yeah, 230 volt. There it is right there in the description. So 230 volt free energy generator with microwave transformers, new method. Now I want to read a couple of the comments in here as well, guys. Wait, why did it just go away? Because the thing I want people to realize too is how stupid people are in the comments, man. Why is it so small? Okay, there we go. Some people say, how much? I want to buy one, right? Sort by top comments. So some of the top questions, you can tell people always understand. The people that understand, you're going to be able to tell right away versus the people that are just don't understand. So this one right here is somebody who doesn't get it, right? And they go to ridicule right away. A lie is always presented beautifully. So they're basically saying that somebody spent all their time to fake a free energy device with elaborate details on exactly how they built it, like step by step. Even though this person literally saw it step by step, no battery, nothing, they must assume there must be movie magic going on because the alternative would be that their lives are a lie. And here you go as well. The only way to settle the doubts from the comment section would be either to sell a small batch of prototypes, sell the kits to build them ourselves, or donate a handful of them to people who could test them. He actually even mentions Mike Adams from the Health Ranger. So again, this is another problem that people, right? They say, oh, you have to now sell it. Sell it. It was 7 months to build this thing. And they go, okay, now you have to give it away to people. You have to allow people to see it, right? Fuck all that, man. Fuck all that, dude. Notice you see the same types of things here. It's like, look, I'm not the one who's got to convince you. If you don't understand electrical engineering, you don't understand it. Like, I can't convince you clouds are real either, right? I can't convince you of that. I also can't convince somebody that the earth is round. I just don't fucking care. You either understand how physics works or you don't understand. You want to think the sky is green? Then think the sky is green. It's like, you have to prove to me the sky is blue, Ashton. I want you to take a picture every day of the sky and post it on your Twitter account so you can prove it to me. And I would go, fuck you, dude. I don't care, man. Believe whatever you want to believe. And then some of these people say, don't ever try to patent it. I agree. I would not try to patent it. They will either steal it from you or they will discredit you. Some people want it to be trialed. This guy loves it, right? The people that see it and they know what they're looking at, they're like, bro, 20,000 watts with 230 volts. It's impressive. This guy, what gives the falsehood away is there's no voltage regulation involved. I don't know. Some of these people, I think, just make shit up. I honestly think that a lot of people make shit up. And now this person says, even though I understand the laws of thermodynamics and the transfer of energy, and it's supposed to be impossible to generate more energy than you expend in a closed system, I think that the laws can be broken. Now, this is somebody who's open-minded, but they don't realize it's actually simpler than what they think. We actually don't even need to violate the laws of thermodynamics. All we have to do is say, wait, is space empty? No, space is not empty. And yeah, I don't think that person understands what voltage is either, Ryan. And you see a lot of comments in these replies where like they don't even understand electrical engineering. They don't even understand basic electrical engineering concepts, like what a voltage is. You'll see much more of that. Trust me, chat. Some people just like, sometimes they just make up words like, oh, this doesn't work because of whatever, the reactive power or whatever. It's like, wait, what do you mean, bro? You're looking at the meters. What are you talking about, man? So in this case, though, once you realize that the universe is not empty, then you realize we're not breaking the first law of thermodynamics. We're just pulling the energy out of the ether. It's all around us everywhere. The second law, well, he said it, closed system. Closed system. A windmill is a closed system that doesn't work without wind. Is a windmill fake? No. Just because it takes wind or a solar panel requires light to hit it doesn't mean that it can't generate energy. They still can generate energy because they're pulling the wind, they're pulling the solar, we're pulling the 0-point fluctuations. It ain't that hard, chat. And look at this. I can't believe there are people that will believe that. What do you mean? Believe what I'm seeing with my eyes? What do you... Like, these are the people that, like, it makes me sad for humanity. I can't believe there's people that believe this. You think this video is an elaborate hoax, step by step, building this, spending thousands of dollars to build this thing, spending 7 months of their life to do it? You think they're doing what, movie magic, that they're like pulling a battery out at the last second and they're editing it up to confuse you? Doesn't that seem a little elaborate? Come on, man. It's crazy. It's a magic trick like these people did. But what you don't see is no one's giving any real proof on why it can't work. This is the biggest thing. Like, when you watch it here, you're going like, look at all the comments. You realize nobody's saying that it's not possible. Like, or at least they're not explaining how it wouldn't be possible. Instead, they just say stupid shit like, we obey the laws of thermodynamics. You're like, this person doesn't even know what the laws of thermodynamics are. This person doesn't even know what they are. If you were to ask them, like, this just needs to be a joke where when somebody says, in this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics, your response should be, do you even know what the laws of thermodynamics are? And then they just go, no. Right? Like, that's really what it comes down to. And you just have to tell them, universe isn't empty, and a windmill doesn't violate the laws of thermodynamics either. So unless you think a windmill violates the laws of thermodynamics, this comment is stupid. Let me see if there's any others. Yeah, look, it's either induction under the table or a hidden battery or a hidden cable. These people literally think that there's some elaborate magic trick going on. They're like, they've got a battery hidden underneath the table. That must be it. It must be a magic trick. Like, they would rather just not believe what their eyes tell them and think that it must be a magic trick. Now, why am I bringing this up? Do you notice the similarities between the thought process for these commenters and the same thought process for the people that don't understand that the MH370 videos are real? We've got 2 military videos that are cropped that show real military capabilities of a plane disappearing out of space-time using physics that there's a bunch of scientific papers for a plane that was never found, not even after 10 years. And you have people just going, it's CGI, it's VFX, it's just got to be magic. Like, it's movie magic, somebody's faking it. And you're like, who's the hoaxer? Nobody. There's no hoaxer. It's still got to be fake. It was some bored person. This is the same stupid shit as comments like this that are like, it's secretly using induction underneath the table or a secret battery underneath the table, right? The problem is the person behind the keyboard. So this is the part where like people ask, like, what am I doing, right? What am I doing? I'm trying to show people how stupid some of these people are. And I'm trying to support the people that know this stuff's real so we can wake up more and more people to show like how obvious it is that it's real. People are like, you know, where's the examples? I'm showing you the videos live on my stream. I'm explaining how it works. I'm explaining the science of how it works. And there's nobody who can refute it anywhere in any of the comments, anywhere. The reason why they can't refute it is because it's just real. Instead, they have to come up with this nonsense like magic trick shit, blah, 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 right? Look at this. So, I mean, this is, again, guys, it's literally bots. Like, most people on this planet are literally robots. It's not even like a joke. Like, it's just, they're literally NPCs that have no thoughts of their own. Guys, read up on one of the fundamental laws of physics, the law of conservation of energy. You don't think the person that made this device understands the law of conservation of energy? Perpetual, like they can't even spell perpetual. Perpetual motion machine is practically impossible unless there's zero friction and heat generated. Even so, such machine, saying output equal energy output input, cannot leak power to external devices while maintaining perpetual motion. Yes, guys, windmill cannot work, chat. Chat, windmills cannot work. Don't you know? Windmill not possible to generate energy. Oh, wait, you're getting energy from an outside source? Oh, well, okay, now it's all of a sudden possible. Right? Like, this is how stupid we are as human beings. This is how dumb we've gotten into to be human beings at this point. Your theory don't work in practice. Dude, you're looking at a video of it working. This is the craziest part. Is people say, this doesn't work. And you go, here's a video of it working. And they go, no, I will choose to believe the incorrect theory I was taught over what I'm literally seeing with my eyes. And then you see there's a lot of people that did study Tesla and what have you, like they figured it out. Now, this person also stupid, but they bring up a point. Eventually, it's going to fall apart. Yes, eventually, any device out there will fall apart. So again, this becomes a commercialization issue. Eventually, any mechanical device is going to fall apart. Maybe it's a year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 1,000 years, whatever. It's still going to fall apart at some point. This is why you have to do a calculation. And how much is the device worth? How much power is it generating over the life of the device? And I would say you should aim low, like 10 years. 10 years is a long time. I'm not going to have my iPhone for 10 years. I'm not going to have my free energy device for 10 years, right? Now, maybe you are. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. If your device really worked, then it would have been seized, your paperwork taken, and you would have been basically killed. That's what they say right here. Well, that's also not how the world works. Why do they need to do that? They've got enough retards in the comments saying that it's not possible. They don't need to make the person disappear. So this is part of the issue too. Now here's another idiot. Zero energy input equals zero energy output. Simple physics. Like, guys, do you see how it's been kept hidden? Most people are literally cavemen that don't have any original thoughts. So this is the sad part of our reality, the sad truth of our reality. Most people out there, they're just primitives. They're primitives that barely can think for themselves. We've barely achieved sentience, and we actually are getting stupider and stupider as we, just look at our TikToks all day long. And instead of actually understanding the laws of physics, trying to improve our understanding of the laws of physics, we just say, nope, we figured it all out. We obviously need to water our crops with Mountain Dew. It's got the vitamins and minerals that plants crave. It's got the electrolytes that they crave. Water the crops with Mountain Dew. Obviously, that's how it works. Anybody saying otherwise is a witch, right? Like we've entered a level of dogma now where science has become just stupidity. It's become just literal primitives not understanding basic reality. So let me see if I had anything else for us. Oh, I had another one, but I didn't really understand this last one. But I found another guy. That's like seems to have created it, and he went full on. His name is Fane. On like I'm open sourcing it to everybody as well, and like so, guys, people have open sourced it. That's not the issue. Surprisingly, the issue is not it being available on the internet. The issue is not open sourcing it. The issue is like people just have to realize we're fucking cave people and we are just pushing propaganda out there instead of actually thinking for ourselves. And if we just thought for ourselves, we'd go, oh, yeah, universe isn't empty. Electromagnetic waves need a medium to transmit through. Oh, yeah, quantum mechanics is real. We've proven it's real experimentally just as much as general relativity. Why are we just ignoring the fact that quantum mechanics says there's this huge amount of energy out there? Maybe quantum mechanics is correct. Oh, it also just explains dark energy and dark matter too. Well, that's convenient. So, free energy is real, guys. I will give you a Discord invite as well. One last thing before we shut down. I was contacted by somebody who is claiming to be a family member of a loved one who passed away on MH370. I'm trying to vet them. Truthfully, they've been kind of spamming me, and they created a website and it's asking for donations. This is a very tough line for me to walk down because I've been scammed before. When people are asking for money right away, I'm on high alert. They did give me the name of somebody who was on the plane. So story could be true. It's possible for the person to be legit, but also just not really understand the situation. Like this plane's been missing for 10 years. We've been investigating this for a year. No family members have ever reached out. Now I'm at this height of popularity. And you can imagine people are seeing dollar signs, right? That's going to happen. People are going to see dollar signs. And, I have not made very much money off of this at all. Obviously, I've made some. I have a pretty big following, but not enough to live off of or anything like that. If I was making a ton of money, I would be happy to give it back, honestly, at least give some of it back to the people that have been helping out. And I probably will do that in the future. So I don't know. I just want to point out there that the situation is a lot more complicated than just one family member coming forward and being like, yeah, the phones were ringing. Like, okay, great. We know the phones were ringing. It's not really going to move the needle. You have to realize the totality of the situation we're dealing with respect to the plane, the science, free energy is a situation where this is an information war. It's an information war. So when family members are coming out and they're saying like, oh, yes, the phones are ringing or I have this other evidence or what have you, like I have to be extremely skeptical. And then even if you are telling the truth, I cannot tie myself to you, especially if you're coming out and you're being like, hey, I'm trying to collect money, blah, blah, blah. Like it doesn't come off as authentic to people. Like if somebody's just seeking the truth, like they should be coming out saying, hey, here's my story. Here's who I am. Here's who my family members were. And we've been trying to reach the truth. And we've been upset about the fact that we've gotten no information. The last thing they should be doing is seeking like some kind of platform, seeking attention, seeking money. Those types of behaviors, I'm going to be skeptical about. And I don't want to be rude to people because, God, it's such a hard line to walk. Because the only way we're going to get the truth is if we don't have people who are able to discredit us, even if they're not intentionally trying to do so. So we'll see, guys. I just wanted to let you guys know that is happening behind the scenes, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it, but I'm not going to rush anything. That's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to freak out and be like, we've got this family member. Everybody needs to support them, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're going to take it slow, just like we have been. It's not a race. And I will vet their information. We'll see how relevant it is, whatever. And if so, then maybe we'll talk to them. So thank you guys very much for hanging out this weekend. Thank you guys for being supporters. Thank you guys for being advocates of free energy. Keep pinging me on stuff on Twitter related to Elon Musk. Anybody else out there, I will troll the hell out of Elon Musk until Elon Musk accepts 0 point energy or we get an answer from him. And yeah, we'll get the truth, guys. So hope you all have a great weekend, guys. I'm going to take off and we will meet again on Monday. I'll see you guys on Twitter. More posts, more content this weekend, guys. Peace, everybody. S. Beers, Sentinel of the Night.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide. As Spears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared